Doesn't look like anybody else is out there.
Reg Bono's making his way towards the track in the number 47 golf cart.
With his roof sign.
His roof sign on one side and Kathy's on the other.
Looks like the whole line came through, so they must not have been in line for.
Look at all the street stock cars. Somewhere close to 25 for those. Yeah, 29 street stocks scheduled a little bit later on. We'll get into those a little deeper as we get closer, but I think this is all we're going to get for our kicker consi. We're scheduled for about a dozen.
6 made the call.
So our official telling everybody to shut them off.
They're going to give these guys a couple minutes to make it down here. So they're having the kicker guy shut them off so they're not getting hot. I want to say welcome to everybody that's joining us live on Facebook. Thanks to our Jeffy's Fab Farm live look-in. I'm going to give you a taste of the championship action here on Championship Day at Bash for Cash. This will be the kicker class consolation. We'll get last few cars qualified for that kicker feature, which will happen at the end of the evening tonight.
We didn't see Chris Averish or John Averish pull out either. I believe it was Chris that got rolled over, and John exited his car. Both of them left the track at the same time after that rollover happened. That was in the heat with Pete Hansen.
Yeah. Brian Near at Demo bringing you this kicker class consolation. Make sure you're checking out the website at nearatdemo.com. Official with some piece of something that was laying out on the track. It's like a trunk spring or something.
Would have made a great shift rod.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, huh?
Mopar shift rod.
Turn back the clock, Consi. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Chris Tillian going to be out there in the 73. Jeremiah Kinney in the 61. Lad Hosmer, Will Zach also going to be out there. Kane Johnson, Jeremy Heinen, Josh Braun, Joey Braun, and Billy Penwell in the 008. The 9 scheduled to be out here in just a little bit. There's a pile of full-size trucks.
Yeah. James Dickup.
Mm-hmm.
Doing double duty this weekend.
Yep. Chris Triplett.
Look who's on the list, right? Well, maybe he. Wow, how is that possible? Chris Triplett.
There wasn't enough left.
I don't know that that's true. I think that those guys had spots, but I mean, why would they be on our list if they didn't have trucks here? So all right, Brian Triplett had the Durango. I know that he was gonna try to bring it back, and maybe Chris was able to get something left out of that K5, put it back together. George Hackett Jr. out of New York. He's a fun driver to watch.
There he is. Jeff Hirsch is on the list in the 32.
Jeff Hirsch. I thought I saw the truck in the line when we were panning back over Golf Cart City back there. Justin Carloggi right there in the 75. I see him at Blizzard Bash, as well as Mark Golden. Those are some Blizzard Bash guys that I'm pretty familiar with. Robert Groff, another known driver to me. Yeah, of course, Jeremy Gully. Can't miss him. You had a little bit of fun with Gully in the truck, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep, sure did.
Yeah.
I was in a derby vehicle one time, and it ended with me getting my leg stitch shut.
Yeah. It's fine. If you're not
Fine.
bleeding, you're not bleeding, you're not derbying.
I didn't know it was bleeding. Did I ever tell you about like how that all played out? So the seat rail in the truck was broke, so the seat didn't lock backwards. So every time we hit something going forward,
it would slide forward.
I got to move an extra 12 inches.
All right.
And one of the times we went forward, we went forward so fast that my legs flew up, and I bounced my shin off the dash bar, and it hurt, and I felt a welt in there. And the whole time that we were in the truck, my biggest concern was what happens if a training line blows and I get covered with oil, or there's a fire.
Right.
I don't want to have to make a split decision in any of these situations. Duct tape to a seat.
Right.
So I look down and I see a spot of what I assume is transmission fluid or oil on my pant legs down here at the bottom, and it's about the size of a quarter. And I didn't really give it a whole lot of thought, and I tried to play the game a little bit, and I put my hands out the window and told Eric Eberling and George Hackett to bring it on one more time, and they drove square into the passenger door, and then they broke the wheel off, and we were all done, and we were out there for like 7 minutes, and it felt like forever. And I went to hop out, and when I hopped out, there was a shooting pain in my legs, and that knot, I'm like, man, that knot's pretty big. And I pulled my pant leg up, and I could see my shin bone. And I don't know if you've ever seen your shin bone, but it's one of those things where I would only advise doing it once, and the impact was so forceful on there, it just split my leg open like it was nothing. So I went to the ambulance, and they looked at it, and they said, you really need to go to the hospital. I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, really need is where? Is it like a 3 really need, or because it wasn't really pouring blood or anything. It was just, your shin bone.
Just split open.
And so they gave me their opinion. So I went to first aid to see if I could get a better opinion. And
it's like
they said
getting a different answer.
They said the same thing, and so I drove over there and explained to the young man that was working that night something very different than what had happened.
Yeah.
Because let's not be stupid about it. Oh, the most painful part about all of it was I had to call home and explain to my wife that I said, dear, I'm safe, but it appears I've done something stupid.
That must have been a great phone call.
One of us has been defining the word great incorrectly for a long time. It was not that great. But it's a heck of a story. I mean, I'll remember it forever.
Well,
there was door bars in that truck. It was a Dodge, and my initial mistake in all of it was when we went backwards. I looked over my shoulder, as if one were backing up a car, not turning around the whole way. So we went backwards, and about the time that we were going to make impact, I happened to see out of the corner of my eye, Jeremy turned around and looked back forward, and I didn't get turned around all the way. And my ear touched my hip. And my whole body went numb. I couldn't feel a thing. And I'm like, so this is going to be a hard phone call to make if my hands don't work. Explaining how I've injured myself. Well, then I got my feeling back. So I was hanging on for dear life at one point because Jeremy's crazy. And I realized as this gentleman in a blazer came at us at basically Mach 12 and hit right square in that passenger door, that the reason I could hang on to the door bar as such was because there was an opening in the door where like the window crank was.
Right.
And I should probably move it because I'm going to lose my fingers. Which brings us back to the whole hard to make a phone call if your hand doesn't work thing.
Oh, Chris. Well, I think you've got the worst out of the way. You should get back in the car and give it another shot.
I am confident that God is happier with me sitting in a trailer talking into a microphone than sitting behind a wheel of a derby car.
You might be right.
I'd ride with your dad.
Now you're talking crazy.
I would. I survived Gully.
It's Gully. That's not a guy that they've called Crash for the last 30 years.
Your dad would see me put the seatbelt on and call me a sissy immediately.
Pretty much. I hear an engine. I don't know if that means that we're getting another car out or they're going to just start them up.
Somebody's meandering about.
Yeah.
I don't for sure remember that T. Fauner getting too deep into his heat. I mean, the car looks pretty straight. I remember mentioning his name but that car doesn't look like it did hardly anything. Oh, you know, Cody Riley's not on that list.
Right.
We saw him make a hit and shut the thing off almost immediately in his qualifying heat, and we don't see him back out there. So something terminal aboard the number 44R, Mr. Underbuilt Cody Riley, not making it back out for the Consi.
Brian Nair at demo kicker class consolation.
Phillips made it out in that exchange. That must have been the last car to just come to the track. Jake Phillips in the number 520.
Really good of Smash It to give him the time to get out there. I mean, they definitely could have started this thing without him. Officials putting themselves in position on the wall. Flags are in hand.
Green flags are up. We're about to start things.
Green flag. See what happens.
Felt cute, might T-bone a kicker car, IDK. Going after him one more time.
Nice shot.
Beautiful.
That battle is not over.
No. Got up over the back bumper down there at the far end of the track. That is the 512, Donnie Givens. Excuse me, the 312 of Brandon Rocky. Battling it out with that 521 of Justin Hartzell. Good look at Jake Phillips with 520 of Hartzell now. No stout impact right there.
Hartzell didn't make the right friends out here.
Or do you find somebody and say, hey, let's pair off. We won't hit each other anywhere it's going to do damage. Let everybody else fight it out. We knock around and look busy and back our way into the feature.
I'm sure you could say that, but that's not what these guys are doing. Pace is slowed here a little bit.
Phillips is laboring bad. Front wheel's still turning.
312 and the 225.
Brandon Rocky in that 312. You know, do you try to put your eggs in the Mad Dog basket? For that matter, I'm not 100% sure if they're giving the Mad Dog out of the Consi. I don't remember last year if they did or didn't. Some pretty fresh cars for Consi entry.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're not going to get much damage out of this.
No.
As wet as it is.
Everybody looks pretty even at this point, with the exception being, I think you'd agree, the number 520 of Jake Phillips. He's laboring the most out there.
Yeah.
Compared to everybody else.
See all those shiny new steering parts under the front end of Chris Waddell's car.
We talked about budgets and expense and how much money is invested in these.
Yeah.
Then you think about the repair parts, stuff that gets bought this weekend.
Yeah.
How much money was invested just in radiators over the last 3 days?
Thousands of dollars. I've had to turn down some offers. I've had some people offer to let me run a car or whatever with the caveat, you can run it, but you just, fix whatever you break kind of thing.
Pass. Hard pass.
I'm like, I can't afford to replace the $7,000 engine. Sorry.
What are we talking here? Kicker car, street stock, compact, power wheels. Let's slide the price range.
520's up underneath. 62.
T-Fonner, back tires are up in the air as that 520 of Phillips lifts him a little bit higher, a little bit higher.
Rear bumper is hooked on the window bar.
Starting to put a twist in that window bar. Shot just came in from the right side. That back bumper put a little tweak to it.
Yeah. Everybody taking turns.
The 520 Phillips was already having mobility problems. Now he's got to drag around that number 62 of T-Fonner.
Finally got some relief there.
Left rear tires chunking off. I'm sure that is one of the causes of the Phillips ride's issues. Waddell idle in the 73, able to get that back underway.
Being told from our camera guys down on the surface, there's a lot of transmission fluid on the track right there.
Bouncing around. So number 512 out there. Donnie Gibbons working his way through. 7 cars started, still have 7 cars running right now. Track here has been running in nice all weekend, but I think these big heavy cars, it almost might be a little bit too wet for them. You see the shots when they're being delivered, the momentum isn't transferring into damage, it's just transferring into a slide.
Yeah.
The car that's getting hit is just skating around. If this does run in a little bit deeper, you're going to see that slide effect actually be a detriment, because as those front wheels get side bite and start to hook and pull, it puts all sorts of lateral pressure and stress on the steering components, can start pulling stuff apart.
Yeah. These guys can only prepare for so much.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with these kicker cars is you make the thing so hard, and now you've protected your investment in your transmission, you've protected your investment in your rear end, you've protected your investment in your engine and all that other stuff. The harder you make it, you start from the front, start working back. You know, we've seen the advent of the tranny brace in conjunction with the cross member, right, and how important that is now in terms of the pressurization and the tilting and things like that. It's always going to be the next thing in line that becomes the new weak point.
Right.
So that innovation or necessity breeds the innovation. Some new part comes out to fix that and something else back in line, or stuff just starts bending wonky. We got 2 cars now that have fallen out, so we're down to 5. One of them being the 62 of T. Fauner. We still have I think that's the only old iron that pulled out onto the track was that
32 Waddell.
Yeah, Waddell's number 32X. They're going to call it right there, taking 5. .512 going to go. Donnie Givens makes his way in. Chris Waddell in the 32 punches his ticket. Jake Phillips, as much as he was struggling, as late as he was to the party, he still makes it in. And rounding out our 5 will be the 225 of Ryan Brandt. So, again, give you the recap. 521, Justin Hartzell makes it into the main event. Ryan Brandt in the 225 from Ontario. Ohio's own Donnie Givens in the 512 qualifying. Jake Phillips and Chris Waddell, also 2 Ohio drivers in the 520 and 32X. Moving into the main event, our final 5 qualifiers. So those 5, I think we had 2 Mad Dogs from the 3 kicker heats from the other nights.
Yeah.
So that's going to give us 20 in the main.
Jody Braden was trying to get some on-track interviews there for Jeffy's Fab Farm, and these guys basically said, we're going to just drive off. We got some work to do.
Yep.
Can't fault them for that. I want to say thanks to everybody that's joined us on Facebook, giving you a little bit of a taste of the action that's coming up here today. Championship Day at the Bash for Cash, day number 3. We've still got the Turn Back the Clock Consi, the youth division, 380s wire divisions, street stock class, full-size trucks, the compact feature, Turn Back the Clock feature, and the kicker feature, all to come here today. Action-packed event. Make sure you're joining us on DerbyNation.tv. Get your ticket, and hey, if you get the multi-pass, you can pick up everything that you didn't see over the weekend as well. Friday, Saturday, all that good stuff.
27 hours of Championship Sunday coverage due up today.
Just about. Just about. So make sure you're joining us on DerbyNation.tv, fans. Thanks for being with us on Facebook, and we'll see you on Derby Nation.
So right now, projected to see 22 cars in the kicker feature. 23, because we got a raffle car that's going to go in there as well. We had a couple Mad Dog Award qualifiers, 3 groups of 5 from the heats, the 4th group of 5 coming out of the Consti. That gives us our 22 Mad Dog qualifiers and the raffle car, which is 23.
Nice thing about something like Bash for Cash is that